Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Hescock's Life Science coming back to you. That's the Symbiosis song. We'll be watching that in class. Feel free to watch the video later. Um, your warm-up question of the day: what is an organism that would prey on mice? Organism that would prey on mice could be cats, could be hawks, owls, foxes, um, snakes, things like that. I've even read where large bass will catch mice swimming in the lakes and streams. So we're going to talk about the three types of symbiosis today: mutualism, commensalism, and parasitism. And your review will be on page 289. There are symbiotic relationships, or what are they? Symbiotic relationship is a relationship between two different species in which at least one is benefited. The first one, both are benefited. Mutualism. So, mutualism, like this honeybee and the flower, the honeybee gets food, the flower gets pollinated. That is a mutualism. Other examples are lichen, which could be lichen is a really good example of a algae living inside a fungus. The fungus gets the food. The algae actually inherits a nice safe place to live. A clownfish that lives inside the sea anemone, clownfish gets a place to live. Sea anemone can use the clownfish as bait. Feel free to click on these motos that are stuck in here throughout to give you further instructions. Commensalism. Commensalism is a relationship between two organisms in which one is benefited and the other is unharmed. So here you have these fish that are hiding there. It doesn't do anything for the shark, but the fish get protection. Now sometimes the shark might have cleaner fish with it. So if the shark is becoming cleaned by the fish swimming with it, that could be a mutualism. But in this case, they're just kind of hanging out for safety. That's a commensalism. So birds that take a ride on the back of an elephant or a rhinoceros or something like that, that's commensalism. Barnacles that stick to a whale that you swim through, those are commensalisms. They don't hurt the whale, they don't hurt the elephant, they don't hurt the rhinoceros, but they do get a benefit by living there. Parasitism, well, there's a mosquito. These are organisms that are going to live off, on, or in another organism and cause it harm. So mosquitoes suck human blood. It's not a good thing, and they also carry disease like malaria. Leeches can suck the blood from fish and organisms around ponds and streams. Tapeworms actually can be in the intestines of pigs, and there's like liver flukes that can actually be eating the fluke. Fluke is like a type of worm that can literally eat away at large animals' livers. It's kind of gross. Parasitism generally doesn't kill the organism, but it will weaken it. With predation, it kills it, but with parasitism, it generally doesn't kill the host. What type of symbiosis is in the picture? You have a butterfly and a flower. The butterfly and the flower work together, so this is mutual. There's your shark, fish hiding by the shark, that's commensal. That is a little tiny leech on somebody's foot, so this is parasitism. The squirrel living in the tree is commensalism. It doesn't hurt the tree to live there. These are bacteria that live in your intestines. This one is actual mutualism because they do help you. And that is what we call a tick bird. And it's clearly picking insects out of the fur of this organism. So this is a mutualism. All right, guys, so let's jump to the reading. page 288 and 289, and see where we can get to next. So guys, we're going to jump to our symbiotic relationships now. The three types: mutualism, commensalism, parasitism, and host, and parasite obviously goes with that. Mutualism, both are benefited, mutual as in working for each one. Commensalism is only one organism, the other is unaffected, and parasitism, one is hurt, the other is helped. Host is the organism being fed upon by a parasite. Symbiosis is a close relationship between two organisms that may help or harm them. There are three types of symbiotic relationships. They are mutualism, commensalism, and parasitism. So the question there is, what are the three types? Mutualism, commensalism, parasitism. Mutualism. Some relationships between organisms make survival easier. For example, the desert yucca plant depends upon the yucca moth to pollinate its flowers. The yucca moth depends upon the yucca plant to provide protection and food for its larvae. This is an example of mutualism, or a relationship between two different kinds of organisms that benefit both. A lichen is an example of mutualism. A lichen is really two organisms living together. The two organisms that make up a lichen are fungus and alga. The alga provides the fungus with nutrients. The fungus provides the alga with water and carbon dioxide needed for photosynthesis. Together they can live together where neither organism could survive alone. In fact, they live in some pretty rough environments. Commensalism. Look at figure 12-15. The organisms on the whale are barnacles. Barnacles are arthropods that cannot move from place to place, from one place to another to look for food. By attaching themselves to the body of a whale, barnacles can feed while moving through the nutrient-rich water the whale is moving, while the whale is not harmed by the barnacles. This is an example of commensalism. Commensalism is the relationship in which two different kinds of organisms in which one benefits and the other is unaffected. How is commensalism different from mutualism? Mutualism benefits both. Commensalism only benefits the one. Parasitism is a relationship between two different kinds of organisms in which one lives on or in the other and causes it harm. A parasite is an organism that lives in or on another living organism and feeds on it, usually blood. The organism that the parasite feeds on is called the host. Ticks, fleas, and leeches are examples of parasites. They feed on the blood of their hosts. Some worms, fungi, and microorganisms are parasites that live inside their hosts. Parasitism is different from predation. Predators kill or capture and kill their prey before eating it. Although parasites may eventually weaken or kill their hosts, it's the parasite's best interest to keep their hosts alive so they can continue to live off of them. What are the three types of symbiotic relationships? Mutualism, commensalism, parasitism. What is a lichen? A lichen is a mutualism between a fungus and an algae. What is commensalism? Commensalism is when one organism is benefited and the other is unharmed or unaffected. What is parasitism? Parasitism is when one organism is benefited, the other one is harmed or injured by something living off of it. Some bacteria live in the intestines of cows. The bacteria help the cows digest their food. The cows provide the bacteria food and shelter. What type of symbiotic relationship exists between the bacteria and the cows? Well, the bacteria get a place to live, the cows get help. It's mutualism. How are predation and parasitism similar? Well, they both have one organism feeding off of the other. Predation kills it, parasitism doesn't. All right, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you guys are going to get your work done. And until next time, I'm Mr. Hescox. Be good, be safe.